I'm going to do three different types of reading. One is going to be a reading that's for the collective, something that we're all curious about. The other one's going to be a forecast for the upcoming week. And the other one that I'm going to do is try to give you an overview of the energy for the month of April. So let's begin. Because I'm in a slightly different setup this weekend, you're not going to see me shuffling the cards. So just so that you know. So the question that we're all kind of curious about, and if you haven't seen last week's video of how I forecasted that something was going to happen regarding Trump. And so the next question that I think we're curious about is, are any of these charges going to stick? One of the questions that people are curious about is, will he turn himself in? But we will see that, we'll see how the upcoming forecast for the week will be. So maybe that'll reveal something about that. But what everyone's curious about, yeah, there are 30 indictments in New York against Trump. Will any of them stick? Guys, what's really sad about this whole situation, and I think I spoke about it in the forecast last time, is that there's so many people that are falling into the trap of these illusory narratives, right? And I was recently in an environment in the hospital, actually, where there was a man that was, and this is in New York City, that was a diehard Trumpian. And he was an employee at the hospital, and he was very proud of the fact that he was a Trumpian. He expressed to me that he felt that Trump really spoke to him. And I looked at him, I was like, he really spoke to you, the white man. And he's like, yeah, he spoke to us, that we've been feeling slighted, etc. So these are people that are not easily going to be swayed into believing that they were used and manipulated by a man who did not act alone. He acted in tangent with other people, possibly even other nations. And it's going to be a really tough road for us to sort of deprogram a lot of these people. And I told a friend of mine once that I was born to disrupt the spiritual community. There's a narrative within the spiritual community that's like, oh, the Illuminati, or their factions, that 1%er that trying to, you know what, if you want to live in that world, great. But that doesn't help anyone. That doesn't inspire anyone. That doesn't motivate anyone. That keeps people in fear. And the spiritual community is just as much to blame as Trump, if that's the narrative that you're putting out there. You have to use your independent mind. This is why education is important. You have to use discernment. This is why learning the real spiritual practices are important. Spewing narratives that you already know when you are in a negative flow or negative narrative stream, when you are inciting fear. There is no spiritual benefit, none whatsoever, to claiming that there are factions in this world that are against humanity. None whatsoever. You know why? Because that's going into the shadow and not giving people the tools to get out of it. So if all you can do is take people and lead them into darkness, and you don't know how to take them out, you're no different than all those other people that are trying to manipulate a population to do their own bidding and will. Sure, there are forces that are not looking out for the benefit of humanity. That goes without question. But they're not that nefarious. They're called corporations, and they live for one purpose only: for profit. That's it. And if they can manipulate a population in order for them to gain a profit, they will do it. Henson Point, Fox News Network. All right? So if you're going to go out there and spew this nonsense, you better figure out a way to get people out of it. You better figure out the solution. Otherwise, you're no different. You're no different than the people working with and for Trump. Now, if these things exist, sure. Am I going to live by them? No. Am I going to live in fear of them? Absolutely not. Why? Because I know that my higher power and my light within me can never take me into that level of darkness. Not easily manipulated by the masses or the media. And guess what? If you know your spiritual power, you know that they have no control over you. That's just a perception. That's just a perception. So, the question here is, and brag, by the way, bravo to you. You did a brilliant job in sprinting the indictment without anyone noticing. I'm sure those leaks were done intentionally to find out who was speaking to the media and who was speaking to Trump from the inside. So bravo. It was brilliantly executed. Now the question is, will it stick? Will you get your convictions? Will the people of the state of New York get a conviction against Trump for the indictments that have just come out? All right, let's see what the cards have to say. And I can split, I can split the cards in front of the camera, I hope. I got a very strong impression of structure. There's a lot of structure involved in this conviction. There's a lot of order involved in, I said conviction. I meant to say indictment. But yeah, there's a lot of order. I don't have my wand, and I'm going to have to move this forward a little bit. So let's see. Will that do it? Can you guys see that? No. Wow. Oh, maybe I can push this up. There we go. There we go. Sorry about the figuring all this out on camera, guys. I'm just in a slightly different location. I have to put these cards on the side here. There we go. So the first card that comes out is trust. We have to trust the process. There was a seating. There was a seating that was done. It was not, this is a 5 of Pentacles. And if you see, there was this is the sign of an increase, right? So there was an increased momentum to this. This is in the past placement. And there was a seating that was done, and there are people that were trusting the process. So the question is, will he get a conviction? It's already telling us, trust this process. Trust the process. And also we can see that there was a lot of work done. It was not done in its usual way. There were changes or things that had to be changed. And it was not what people expected, how people expected the investigation to go. So I suspect the 30 counts includes something more than just Stormy Daniels. It just does. Let me see if I can push this in the back so you guys can see that. Yeah, awesome. And the next card is, new beginnings, self-reliance. This is a victory card. This is in the present placement. This is like we're going to do new beginnings. And by the way, guys, notice how these are 2 pentacles. So we're talking about the money, right? We're talking about the money and the fraud and the allegations on that front going on. This is a very strong money element involved in this criminal indictment against Trump. And let's see, the question is, will he seal an indictment? It's tricky, guys. Oh man, it's tricky. They might have done a little bit of overkill, and this is why it's really important to keep things under the vest when you're doing investigations. You don't want things leaked. There will be a lot of it. There's a lot of emotional turmoil with this, so one could read this in one of 2 ways, right? One could say that Bragg did overkill, because this is like, pouring water into the ocean, not necessary, right? Not necessary. There does seem to be generosity here. So for me, it feels like there was an informant or someone that gave additional information because they were emotionally involved, emotionally entangled somehow. So that's coming out very clearly there. And one thing I can also say is that it's going to be emotional for perhaps even Trump. So if we look at it from that perspective of spilling your guts and spilling your emotions into a full body of water and that emotion going nowhere, we could say that, yeah, he seals this conviction because there's just an overwhelm of emotions heading towards Trump. So there are a couple of ways to read that, but because I see this card in the center stage here, I would say, yeah, he seals the conviction. It's going to be emotional, an emotional engagement, perhaps even for those that follow him, and perhaps even for those that don't follow him. You know, even for those that don't follow him. So let's do a quick clarifier. I mean, obviously, we need a clarifier for this card. And so that's what I'm going to be asking the cards to please clarify what that particular card is referring to, etc. So, what is the Ten of Cups trying to tell us? 10 is always an ending of something. So perhaps that's even an ending of emotional instability. Pouring water into an already filled ocean, stream, or body of water is useless, right? So maybe there's an end to emotional instability when it comes to this particular character, who I am convinced was here to guide us into a different level, certainly for the United States, potentially even around the world. We have to see where history and the narrative that's developed from this man takes us. But make no mistake, he is no friend of humanity. He is no friend of the United States. And again, learning how to forgive people like the individual I met yesterday is a challenge, right? But you have to really see their innocence. We really do. Because they were just bamboozled on many levels. All right. Tell us a little bit about the Ten of Cups doing in Alvin Bragg's cards as to whether or not he will secure a conviction against Trump. All right, I'm just going to go with that first card, Ace of Swords. Oh, yes, he will. Oh, yes, he will. He's got the key. He's going to throw away the key. Hello? You see the key, guys? He's going to lock them up and throw away the keys. Anytime you see the swords, we're dealing with legalities. We're dealing with just very methodical thinking, etc. Oh, yeah. He's going to secure it. This Alvin Bragg is someone who was destined to do this. Look at that. He was destined to take this man out. And really, you know, people only know him within the context of President of the United States. I, as a New Yorker, and many New Yorkers know him as a real estate mogul who basically destroyed the city on many levels through his developments. And so, you know, not thinking about neighborhoods, etc. So, yeah, make no mistake about it. The conviction is secured. He has the keys. He's going to throw away keys after he locks them up. No question about it. Wow, that's a pretty clear card if I ever saw one. All right. Let's do the forecast for the week ahead for us. And then I'm going to do the overall energy for the month of April. But for April, I have to look for the cards because The way that I do energies for the month is that I do it by calculations, and yeah, so you'll have to be patient with me. And let's see, move this up a little bit. All right, so just an overall energy for the week ahead for us, what we should be looking out for, what's in our highest interest of how to behave, how to engage the week ahead, etc. So I'm just going to do one card of the Arkansas Tarot deck and the other one of the Tarot of Mystical Moments for us, much like how I did last week. Oops. Oh man, I messed up the card. Here we go. Just tell us what's up for us the week ahead. Let's do the center card. Wow, insight. We have the priestess, the high priestess here. So there are mysteries, things unknown. We have to rely on our guts next week. We have to be very in tune with our intuition next week. Possibly a little chaos happening next week because of that 2 energy. Temper tantrums from individuals and people may be coming up next week, but you really want to stay on the higher vibration of this card, which is to be peaceful, to know everything's going to be all right, to understand that the truth is not yet going to be revealed to us. This is very important. There is no fear in her eyes. She's very secure. And yeah, that's the message for us. That's the higher message. Stay within peace and rely on your intuition. So let's see what the mystical tarot cards, tarot mystical moments have to add to the high priestess. Whenever we do see the high priestess, we can't get desperate about knowing the details of anything, right? She's not really known to reveal the details. What she's known for is to allow us the opportunity to discover for ourselves the abilities we have to disclose our own details and to rely on our own truth, our inner truth. So what do the Tarot of Mystical Moments cards have to share? And let's do that. I'll split it right in the middle. Oh, the Nine of Swords. So yeah, all eyes on us. And when I said us, I felt like New York. All eyes on New York. There's going to be a lot of feelings of wounds, but it's superficial wounds. It's just a lot. There's going to be just a sadness, a level of disappointment, shock, sadness. I mean, wow, look at all the eyes, right? You have like the shock, you have like the next one is like, oh, I'm not really that concerned. The next one's like, oh, I'm just looking at this. And you look, all these eyes have a different feeling to them, right? Just a different feeling. And this kind of reminded me of Ivanka Trump for some reason. The level of sadness and just a lot of people watching everything from a distance. 9 does have to do with family matters, actually, now that I look at that. So yeah, but as far as what we're supposed to do, just understand that even though eyes are watching this spectacle, not much will be revealed because the high priestess is not ready to do that yet. Wow. Very, very interesting. Now, I'm going to, as I do this, I'm going to look for, this one actually is one of the cards for the month, so I'll just keep that there. And I'll look for the other ones very quickly. Oh, here's the other one. The energy of the month. And let's see, 7, 8, 9. Oh wow. Yeah, of course it would make sense. I'm looking for the Justice card. And she is really interesting. Where are you? Okay, she's not in this pile. So whenever I do the energies of the month, I do focus on the major arcana cards only. When I did my podcast, Sacred Silence Tarot, which this is kind of an extension of, except I used a lot of mystical stories in Sacred Silence Tarot that I don't, that I'm not using here. But maybe I'll bring it back at some point if you guys want and start showing tarot like that. Here we go. So this is the energy of the month, believe it or not. And can you guys see that okay? Maybe if I could move this back a little bit. Oh no, I'm supposed to move it. No, oh no. Sorry about that, guys. Well, I think you can see it. So the general energy of the month, the overall energy, the dominating energy is the Justice card. And here she is. And no surprise that it's already beginning with justice, certainly in New York. I expect more. When this card appears as the overall energy for the month, I expect more justice to be engaged. And I'm looking at Georgia right now, and possibly even something related to Jan 6. So there's more coming down. So when we see the Justice card, understand that the traditional Greek goddess Themis, she was not blind. She could see, this goddess could see very clearly what was happening, and that's really important. The blind Justice card came in as part of a sculpture, and the sculptor decided to make her blind, as if that would somehow make the scales more balanced. Something about scales too, it's not about equality, it's literally about accountability. So when we think of the story of your soul has to be as light as a feather in order to enter the gates of heaven, when we see the scale in that perspective, it is about accountability. So showing up, and this sword is screaming at me right now because the justice is not going to be delayed anymore. It's going to be pretty swift. Will there be chaos? Absolutely. We've got the 11. We've got people defending themselves. The 1-1 frequency is about self-esteem. So people are going to not want to let go of what their leadership role. Then we have the, I was going to say I should have done this first, but if that's the way it came out, justice is going to prevail over the general 4 energy of April, which is the Emperor and willpower. So what that indicates to me is that those involved in justice, those involved in the prosecution, are moving forward with their willpower, their structure, their leadership, very strong leadership qualities here that are coming up. And then the hidden lesson in all of this is that keep your cards close to your chest. Don't let others see what you're doing in order to successfully engage the law. So there are aspects, you know, when we're dealing with the law, and I am someone who works in the legal system, when you're dealing with the law, the last thing you want is to have revelations out there so ignorant people can start talking about the legal process when they have nothing to do with the legal process, nor do they understand what's happening behind the scenes. We have a lot of incredibly smart individuals working in the judiciary across this nation. And there's so much that goes on in terms of legal analysis behind the scenes that you don't want to share. Why? Because it compromises the judiciary. It really does. You want them to stay focused, stable, not be in the space of defense, and hold their intellect, right? Their intellect to its highest, most sacred space. It's the only way that you can obtain justice. It's the only way. I was going to look for the mystical tarot cards equivalent of those cards, but I'll stick to the arcangel, and that's the general energy. We're going to see a lot of leaders step up, being calm, cool, and collected, and not needing their defense because they're pretty secure in their justice. They're pretty secure in that this is us moving forward. And they're not going to reveal everything to us. This is the hidden lesson. We have to rely on our instincts and understand, hey, there's something bigger, deeper going on that we can't share with you, but we're confident that we're going to move forward. All right. Best of luck next week. Everybody stay safe. And until the following week, bye.